All right. You can pull it up on my phone and then we're ready to go. No, you're good.
And for flowing purposes, how many contentions do you guys have?
2 contentions and then scroll up real quick. A subpoint on the first one. What about you guys?
2 contentions, no subpoints.
Okay. 1 second. Oh my gosh, I almost wrote values.
Do you want to stopwatch or we can timer?
Stopwatch works.
Just tell me.
Okay, ready whenever you guys are.
Okay, I will start my time now. Affirmation. On balance, societies benefit from religious beliefs and practices. I have definitions upon my opponent's request during cross-examination. Contention 1. Religion creates unity in diversity. It is no mystery that religion creates unity in our society. Our world is in a time of deep political and social division. Religion creates opportunity for social interactions by making a community, unifying people. The search for a higher power and to find his community creates unity in our extreme diverse world. The resolution clearly states that on balance, societies benefit from religious beliefs and practices. Currently, 85% of the world's population identify with a religion, from worldpopulationreview.com 2022. These statistics are extremely important for the resolution. Religion is practiced by the extreme majority of people, proving unity in the 85% of the population. Religion creates shared morals and values, which is what's important in holding a culture together. Without a sense of overall identity, which is provided by religious beliefs and practices, it is evident that society is destroyed and falls apart. Religion can be the center of one's identity. Open quotes. The word religion comes from a Latin stem that means to tie or bind together. End quotes from facinghistory.org. Taking into consideration where the word religion stems from, it is quite clear the effects of religious beliefs and practices. Open quotes. To belong to a religion often means more than sharing its belief and practicing in its rituals. It also means being a part of a community and sometimes a culture, from facinghistory.org. The sociological perspectives on religion include functionalism. Open quotes. Religion serves several functions for society. These include giving meaning and purpose to life, reinforcing social unity and stability, and motivating people to work for positive and social change. End quotes, 2011 from Sailor.org. The bottom line is that religion creates unity in diversity, which is what on balance benefits society as a whole. Contention 2, religion provides support. Religion is not only a great way to bring people together as one, but it also helps out those in need and provides support, communication, and guidance to both the inner community and society as a whole. Many religions teach their followers to give back in a way to help those in need. Open quotes. 64% of religious Americans say that they would help a friend compared to just 42% of non-religious Americans, a 22-point difference. 29% of religious people say they will help their neighbors, and 25% say they would aid their coworkers. Just 14% of non-religious people say they would help either neighbors or coworkers. These are significant results pointing to non-trivial differences in those behaviors of those who see faith as essential of their lives and those who regard it as unimportant. 2019 from ACI.org. This goes to show that religious practices encourage good deeds and to help all. The US government also does not tax the church because they want churches to be able to not only help the works of their church with their money, but also be able to donate any extra money. Open quotes. Under the Constitution, voluntarism became the basis of the organization of religious activity in the United States. Since the Constitution separates church and state, religious congregations became a new sector of society. While over half of the total yearly financial donations in the U.S. by individuals are given to the congregations. End quotes from Saxon Herald. Also, the most generous contributors are individuals who attend a congregation regularly. End quotes from Saxon Herald 9. With this economic advantage, religions don't hesitate to donate to charities in their community, specifically the Muslim community, which gives back so much, being the top donator of all religions. Open quotes. Just Giving says that religious charities such as Muslim Aid and Islamic Relief benefited most, but many donations also went to the likes of Cancer Research, Macmillan, and the British Heart Foundation. October 3rd, 2013. An Arab term called zakat, meaning that which purifies, is an Islamic law that states all Muslims eligible to pay and must donate at least 2.5% of their accumulated wealth for the benefit of the poor, destitute, and others classified as a masalik. It is one of the largest forms of wealth transfer to the poor in existence, and quotes from theguardian.com 2017. Showing that those who follow this belief system give back a portion of what they are abundant into their community, they also have less. Another example is Christianity. All Christians are encouraged to become organ, blood, and tissue donors as part of their and quotes from the Greek Orthodox Church has no obligation of donates as from the Greek Orthodox Church, my bad. Giving back in such ways can save so many lives, benefit a society like the resolution states. Many charities and nonprofit organizations are backed up by religion, and not only Muslims and Christians, but many other religious groups too. This shows that the beliefs and practices benefit us in the society and do good.
Are our opponents ready?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I will begin. My partner and I stand in firm negation of the resolution resolved. On balance, societies benefit from religious belief and practices. On balance can be defined as to take all matters into consideration. Benefit, a good or helpful result. Religion, the entire collection of beliefs, values, and practices that a group holds to be true and sacred. Belief, an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists. Practice, the actual application or use of an idea. Contention 1, division. Religious beliefs and practices can cause division in society. According to the Pew Research Center on November 15, 2019, 37% of Americans say that churches and other houses of worship currently have too much influence in politics. Division is something that the United States struggles with greatly, and religious beliefs and practices only make it worse. We need to work toward division, but religious beliefs and practices do not provide that. Subpoint A, wars. Religious beliefs and practices can lead to wars, and it has in the past. According to Reichler in the International Journal of Peace Studies in January 1997, since the awakening of religion, wars have been fought in the name of different gods and goddesses. Still, today's most violent conflicts contain religious elements linked up with ethno-national, interstate, economic, territorial, cultural, and other issues. Many people fight wars on the basis that one religion is better than another, which is detrimental to society. Also, a great deal of wars being fought today harm society because they often end up being tied to a religious belief or practice. According to the New York Times on May 19, 2017, since the North-South conflicts in the Sudan have been cast in religious terms, they develop the semblance of deep value conflicts which appear unresolvable except by force or separation. Religious beliefs and practices can be extremely detrimental to society and ongoing conflicts. Even though the wars may not have been fought for religious reasons, religion still came into the issue. According to the New York Times on May 19, 2017, to further their interests, religious organizations also make use of low-scale violence, political repression, and terrorism. As we can see, these religious organizations are going to use violence for their gain, which is not moral and needs to be fought against. But religious beliefs and practices make society worse by deepening the issues and entrenching religion in them. According to Reichler in the International Journal of Peace Studies in January 1997, Christian fundamentalists in the U.S. cater a manifest theology, a fundamentally Manichaean worldview in which we are right and all civil and aggressive intentions are projected to them. Our society needs to move away from the us versus them argument. But religious ideas push the idea that one person has to be right, creating this us versus them argument. Contention 2, censorship. Religious beliefs and practices encourage censorship because they want all the text to fit and align with religious beliefs. According to Rob Boston in American United on March 10, 2021, the historical cases of censorship in the US follow a familiar pattern. Usually a religious organization or a member of the clergy would get worked up about a book and demand local merchants stop selling it. Government officials would apply pressure and the book would disappear. This censorship is going to have negative impact on society, which is why we can see that religious beliefs and practices do not benefit society. According to the censorship in America, religious censorship is defined as the act of suppressing views that are contrary to those of an organized religion. The censored work being viewed as obscene, challenging a dogma, or violating a religious taboo. Censoring is bad in any context, and religion encourages this. This is why my partner and I see no other ballot than that of negation. Thank you.
All right, you guys ready for cross? Okay, since you guys are Aff, you guys have first question.
Okay, do you want to ask the first question?
No, you go ahead, I got one.
Okay. So I believe it was your first contention. Actually, can I have your tagline for your second contention, actually?
Yes, censorship.
Okay. And a quick overview of that again.
So basically we're saying that religious practices encourage censorship because there are going to be things that might go against the Bible that they might have to try to censor. And we give examples of that, like people don't like it and then they push back against it.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's our question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so your contention 1 talks about religion creates unity and diversity, correct?
Yes.
But does religion do this or religious beliefs and practices?
Religious beliefs and practices as well, their morals and what a lot of religious groups believe in and the things that they practice kindness and they encourage things for their followers to do.
And in the far majority of the population.
And then just a quick follow-up, you say in that contention that people belong to a religion, but that's just religion, not religious belief and practice, correct?
The religion that they belong to is talking about what that certain religion believes in and practices. It's kind of we kind of correlate those things together.
Okay, do you guys have a question?
Do you?
Sure. So on your first contention, you discuss under subpoint wars. Do you agree that wars aren't always the cause by religion? It's more the dictatorship and the foul parts of the government in the specific countries.
I agree that wars aren't always caused by religion, but as we outlined in that subpoint, the religion makes it worse because the religion deepens this as people start to take sides and they look at the religious aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Zion, do you have a question?
I do. So in the poll that you guys mentioned, where you asked if people would help their coworkers or neighbors, what have the people asked of the same age, demographic, and career?
Can you repeat that question, sorry?
Was there a controlled variable of the same age, demographic, and career of the people who you were asking if they would help their coworkers or neighbors, or was the only commonality if they were religious or not?
That was the only commonality, if they were religious or not.
Thank you.
Do you guys have a question?
I don't actually.
Okay, then I have another question real quick. So you also say that the religion causes support. Don't you think that religions can also cause division in people's lives because someone might not believe the same religion and then they go against one another?
That can definitely cause a clash. I think what we're talking about, especially in support, is in general the actions that they encourage their believers to do. And that's all the time I have for this. Do you want me to finish the question or?
Go ahead.
All right. Talking about the beneficial things that they encourage people to do and the morals that they put onto people, specifically when we talked about charities and stuff like that, them telling people to help people basically.
Awesome, sounds good.
Okay, and then do you want to take up a little prep time to discuss before?
We have 3 minutes of prep.
Yeah,
I think.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
So I think we should talk about in our packs specifically things that so can you go on because we could even have that thing if religions took on gods basically if we would multiple things that I can think I'll keep that. You do that, and then we should also talk about how also with
not to do certain things or presses certain things. Okay, stuff. Yeah, all we're doing there, how we talk about actually encourages practices, and then that's a personal belief.
Okay, we have a minute and 30 left. More prep time. And then, are you guys ready for arguments? Or attacks, I guess? And I will begin at now. So I will be attacking my opponent's case and then reaffirming my contentions. So to attack my opponent's contention 1, their contention 1 was of division, and specifically their subpoint A, which was of wars. In this, they talked about how wars may have not been fought for religious reasons, but they can stem from religious quarrels and things that are caused by religion in general. But when talking about religious beliefs and practices, that's a different thing from the religion in general. In this case, they are two very different things. There's a religious group, those people who believe in religions, and then there's what the religion specifically practices and preaches, and the beliefs that they want to put out onto the world. When it causes quarrels and division, as their contention 1 basically sums up, and wars and stuff that are detrimental to society, they're talking about people who believe in those religions, not the certain things that the religious beliefs and practices are telling their worshippers and the people who believe in those religions to do. Moving on to another, I would also like to highlight another thing that they said was a quote was, one person has to be right in religion, and how, sorry, I'm not gonna talk about the point actually. How one person has to be right in religion, and how like there's a certain person that they have to like look up to, and certain like belief system that they have to have. But many different religions, for example, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, all these like different types of religions, they believe in multiple leaders and multiple things that teach their believers, and that's what their practices are. So they don't have to always worship one certain person or one certain view, and there always doesn't have to be a certain right thing, because people have their own opinions in religion, which can also, a certain person's opinion can also lead to division, not the practices that are being taught to that person in general. Moving on to my opponent's contention 2. They said that religious censorship represses views, but I would like to reaffirm on our case how we discuss how not religious censorship is in the way of them hiding other views or hiding other opinions or ways of believing, but them encouraging certain ways to believe that are beneficial to society and things that help people. And not only how we included giving to charities, but even our statistics showed that a 22-point difference of people who practice a certain type of religion, and those are their views that are being projected onto them by their religion, that does good for society, and that helps people benefit society. So to attack theirs, it doesn't always repress views. It can actually be very beneficial to society and do good for a lot of people.
All right. Let me just pull up the case really quick. Can you type for me? Are my opponents ready? Is my partner ready? Okay, then I will begin starting now. So first to start with attacking my opponent's case. So my opponent's contention 1 of religion says it creates unity and diversity. They basically said that like 85% of people identify with religion and that they belong to religion. However, again, as today, we kind of clarified this in cross-ex, but just to clarify it again, religious beliefs and practices are what we're debating. So we're not debating a religion itself. Now they argued that belonging to a religion also means belonging to the religious belief and practice, but their argument that belonging to like that society doesn't occur because we're talking about the religious beliefs and practices. Therefore, this falls, and they say that it creates unity and diversity, but actually, as we can see with our contention 1, it creates diversity because according to the Pew Research Center, quote, 37% of Americans say that church and other houses of worship currently have too much influence in politics, end quote. So it's creating this deeper division in politics. Therefore, our opponent's contention 1 falls. Moving on to our opponent's contention 2 of religion causes support. Our opponents say that we need to help those in needs, and 29% say they'll help their neighbors, but as my partner asked in cross-examination, this was not a controlled study, and it was only just people who are religious, so it can't be a reliable source for today's debate. And the source given also doesn't outweigh the damages, as we can see with our contention 1 of division, subpoint A of wars, and contention 2 of censorship. Moving on, my opponents say that people who go to church donate to charity, but so do other people. Also, just because they go to church doesn't mean that church causes them to donate, because correlation does not mean causation. So just because they're related does not mean that that is the direct cause. And also, although there might be some support given in these religious beliefs and practices, it does not outweigh the damages that have been done, as we can see with the wars and the censorship. Therefore, my opponent's case falls. Moving on to our case. So for our contention 1 of division, our opponents attacked it, saying that religious beliefs and practices are different than religion. And I apologize for if it was confusing, but we're talking about these religious beliefs and practices because these religious beliefs and practices cause the wars because they're fighting in the name of someone's religious is better than the other. My opponents also said that it doesn't have to be one people to look up to, but as we read in a piece of evidence, according to Reichler in the International Journal of Peace Studies in January 27, quote, since the awakening of religion, wars have been fought in the name of different gods and goddesses. Still, today, most violent conflicts contain religious elements linked up with ethno-national, interstate, economic, territorial, cultural, and other issues, end quote. So as we can see, we're not saying that they have to look up to one person. We even agree that different religions can look up to gods and goddesses, but we can still see the negative effect that it causes and the division. Our opponents also say that people have their own opinion, but absolutely they have their own opinion, but we're talking about the religious beliefs and practices that specifically stem from religion. And those religious beliefs and practices can lead to wars and they can lead to division because those religious beliefs are going to have an influence on politics. As we can see recently, some people don't like the theory of evolution, and because of that, it's going to have an influence on schools. Which is why our contention 1 of division, proving that it still causes division, and subpoint A of wars still stand. Moving on to our contention 2 of censorship, our opponents say that they don't hide other people's views, and they actually encourage ways to believe. But as we read in our case, according to Rob Boston and American United on March 10th, 2021, quote, the historical cases of censorship in the US follow a similar pattern. Usually a religious organization or member of the clergy would get worked up about a book and demand local merchants stop selling it. Government officials would apply pressure and the book would disappear, end quote. So what this is saying is that they're absolutely encouraging censorship, and as this is something that is encouraged even through society. However, we can see it in present day, as I just mentioned, with the theory of evolution. Many religions don't believe in the theory of evolution, so they don't want people in schools to be taught that. So they're going to censor this idea, which is not going to be good for society, as people need all of the information, even if it differs from religious beliefs and practices. So for these reasons and many more, my partner and I urge a neg ballot. Thank you. Oh, cross again.
Oh yeah, for consolidation, is it like rebuttals and reaffirming?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like,
Okay, are you guys ready for cross-ex?
Yes.
Okay, then do you want to ask this question?
yeah, sure. Would you mind giving me your source where you say that religion creates too much of an influence on politics?
Yeah, of course. That was the Pew Research Center. Do you want me to read you the piece of evidence?
Sure, why not?
So on November 15th, 2019, the Pew Research Center says 37% of Americans say that church and other houses of worship currently have too much influence in politics, and that stems from the religious beliefs and practices differing.
Thank you.
Oh, our question, sorry. Do you have a question?
I do.
Go for it.
Okay, in your beginning speech, you mentioned how 85% of the population is religious, and that shows how societies benefit from religion, but how is this true, seeing that society is filled with hate, crime, and other negative things?
Well, societies that are filled with hate and crime, that doesn't stem from religion, that stems from psychological things that do not correlate to religious
And it can stem
affiliation.
from many different things, not just like psychological or not just religion, just different things in general. And there are no really exact statistics that we have proven that all of that stems from religion.
You guys have a question?
Yes, I do. So you talk about you talk about how when creating diversity and how like religious beliefs and practices create more diversity than unity. Do you have any recent evidence of a specific belief or practice that has been detrimental and caused more negative than more good?
So I don't know if it was just confusion or miscommunication on my part, but we say that it causes more division.
Okay.
And then I don't have a specific piece of evidence, but that evidence from 2019 say that they have too much influence in politics. So not specific, but kind of, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So don't you agree that you said in an attack on our case that people have their own opinion, but don't you think that those opinions are going to be different than the religious belief and practice?
Yes, I think your own interpretation of a faith is like your own opinion, and that's your own religious belief and how you choose to practice.
Okay, so you're saying that people just get to decide what their religious belief and practice and that there's not a uniform idea.
There definitely can be a uniform idea, but that depends on the like certain beliefs and practices that a certain like religion would put out there, and that's why we were talking about like more positives and benefits outweigh the harms in that case. But yeah, like that's up to a certain person's interpretation at the end of the day.
Okay, do you guys have a question?
I don't have any more questions unless my partner does.
I don't have any more.
Does my partner have any more? All right, I think cross-ex is over then.
I will be taking some more prep time starting now. We have 10 seconds up to prep time. Might be that long for me.
We are also gonna use Spider.
No, not right now.
Oh, just
Next
kidding.
week.
Do later.
Okay, wait. Okay, I will begin my time now. So I will be rebutting the attacks made on my opponent and I case. So first they attacked our first contention, saying that the resolution is religious beliefs and practices, and that it's not the religion itself that we are arguing. Well, I completely agree that the resolution clearly states religious beliefs and practices, but without religion, you wouldn't have religious beliefs and practices. It's just the practices which are built upon the religion and the beliefs that are supported through the religion. They also attack our first contention by providing their own statistics that 35% of Americans say that religion creates an influence in politics. While in the United States, the Constitution does separate church and state, and 37% of Americans is not on balance. And regardless, religion and politics are two completely separate things on the spectrum between beliefs and facts. And moving on to the attacks made on our second contention. The first attack our piece of evidence for our statistics on the differences between religious Americans and non-religious Americans, saying that we do not know if this is a controlled study or not. Regardless, the main basis of this evidence is to show the difference between all people, the people who practice a religion and practice religious beliefs and practices, and then the people that are atheists and non-believers. And this, in the evidence, it does show a 22% difference in the values that these people practice. They also attack our case for the charity, saying that the church doesn't necessarily make provoke the donations, and that many people that are not religious donate as well. While that is true, that many people that are not religious do donate, churches that are encouraging donations, and when you come into their church, they are encouraging it, that adds to the donations for the people who practice a religion. And I will now provide some statistics showing the donations made by all these religions. So for example, the Buddhists donate $1,765 a year. The Christians donate on average $84,706 a year. Hindu is $793, Islamic $1,271, Jewish $4,421, and religious media $2,644, service and others $47,930. So this really does go to show the nonprofits and the charities that these organizations are made, which are backed up by religious beliefs and practices. So on balance, religion does benefit from, on balance, society does benefit from religious beliefs and practices. You want to take running prep?
Yes, we're gonna do that.
Okay, well, we're gonna be taking some running prep starting now. And I'm gonna go make sure this is recorded because I just had the fear that it's not. No, it is. Okay, we're good.
Oh my gosh.
I was a little scared for like 1 second. The way the people group chat.
That is all the time I will be using.
So we took 1:15, so we have 1:45 left.
Are my opponents ready?
Yep.
Perfect. Yes. Okay, we'll begin. Our opponents argue that the bad things, when answering my question, how 85% of the population being religious is a benefit to the society when our society is filled with hate and crime, they claim that the bad things in society are based on psychological things and that it doesn't stem from religion. However, even if it doesn't stem from religion or religious practices or beliefs, it doesn't mean that it is stopping it. And our conversation today is about society benefiting from religion and religious beliefs and practices, which this does not do. Our opponents also claim that religious beliefs and practices should be your own interpretation of your faith and that it is your own opinion. However, your own opinions don't always align with the religious beliefs and practices of other people. And in order for something to be beneficial and effective on a large scale, there needs to be consistency. and it has to be concrete and followed by everyone. If it's all based on our own opinions, we are not going to have that consistency that we need. Additionally, earlier our opponents mentioned a study where they claimed that religious people are more likely to help their neighbors and co-workers, therefore supporting their idea that religious people help society. However, during questioning, they admitted that this study was only based on if the person was religious or not. What we don't see being a part of the study is the age, demographic, or location of these people. It doesn't account for the people who may live in dangerous areas where it isn't safe or normal for people to walk up and offer help to their neighbor. And it also doesn't account for the jobs that may be independent and don't require tight relationships with each other or their coworkers. Lastly, they state that state and religion is separate, but just because the Constitution separates state and religion doesn't mean it is actually separate in society. It is for these reasons that my partner and I urge a ballot and negation. Thank you.
Okay, and then it's voter issues now, right?
Yep.
Okay. Are my opponents ready?
Yep.
My partner ready?
Yep.
Okay. I will start my time. In this debate, my partner and I were able to prove that on balance, societies benefit from religious beliefs and practices. In our case, we highlight that in our contention 1, religion creates unity and diversity and brings people together. Our opponents argued that it causes diversity more and can be the cause of wars and bad things in society. We were able to successfully rebut this attack by including information on how religious beliefs and practices actually encourage people to do good and encourage good practices onto people, as we also talked about in our contention 2 of how religion provides support onto people. It helps people, religions in general help or organizations, nonprofits, charities, and not only that, we also did provide a statistic showing that more people who believe in religion and practice religious beliefs and practices are more likely to help their neighbors or people in need, rather than people who do not believe in certain religious beliefs and practices, showing that these religious beliefs and practices do provide unity, and we were able to successfully uphold our contention 1. Moving on to our contention 2, which was religion provides support, we were basically talking about how, like I had mentioned before, how religions are benefiting society by donating to a bunch of charities, and how it's not only one certain religion, it's many different religions, as we give many statistics of Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, different in all religions in general, how they do give back to society a lot, and how this is helped by practicing what they preach onto their viewers and their followers. Our opponents attacked this contention, saying that going to church and donating doesn't correlate with religion. Someone can donate just as much who doesn't go to church, but what matters is the religious beliefs and practices that are being put onto these people by their church and encouraged by their church to do good onto people, like we had mentioned before. We were able to successfully attack each contention, the contention 1 sub-point and contention 2 of our opponent's case, and successfully rebut all of that into our case, proving that on balance, societies benefit from religious beliefs and practices. For these reasons and many more, we urge a ballot in the affirmation.
All right, are my opponents ready?
Mhm.
Yeah. Is my partner ready? Yes. Okay. Before I begin, for this speech, I'll be going over voter issues, and I'll start that now. So the biggest voter issue that I'd like to talk about in today's debate is, first of all, our debate over the idea of unity, religious beliefs and practices causing unity or division. My partner and I have proven throughout this debate that religious beliefs and practices actually more likely than more often do create this division. They create this division because religion is intertwined into everything, and that religious beliefs and practices have impact on politics, and they have impacts on everything. As we can see with the wars, the religious beliefs and practices, they get involved in the wars, as we've proven in today's debate, and that they even get involved in religion. Even though my opponents mentioned the separation of church and state, we have proven throughout today's debate that it might be separate, but people still envelop their religious ideas into and their religious beliefs and practices into politics, which isn't going to be successful for our democracy, and it's not going to be successful for society in general. Therefore, we've won this clash and proven that religious beliefs and practices cause division. Moving on, the next voter issue that I'd like to talk about is the idea of religion causes support versus religion causes war. Now, this is something that my opponents and I talked about a lot. My partner and my opponents and I talked about a lot. This is because our opponents mentioned over and over again that religion causes support, and they mentioned statistics, but as my partner and I have proven, it actually causes the support isn't immense, and if that support does come from belonging to a religion, that's not the religious beliefs and practices, and that they actually cause the war because religious ideas get entrenched into war, and then the war becomes about religion, and the support is actually very minuscule, as there also is some division that can be created, as we mentioned with our contention 1, and these wars aren't something to just forget about. These wars are something that are very entrenched. And as we can see throughout history, religion has been a huge part of that, as we've read in our debate case today. So we can see that that religious beliefs and practices actually cause wars, and they cause this us versus them idea, which isn't going to be successful in today's world. Therefore, we've won this voter issue and proven that religious beliefs and practices cause war. The next voter issue that I'd like to talk about is an idea that I've kind of already brought up, but that religion is intertwined everywhere. My partner and I have proven that society does not benefit from religious belief and practices because religion is intertwined everywhere, even whether it be through censorship, trying to make sure that people aren't able to say things, or whether it be through the wars and the division and politics and aspects it shouldn't be in. Those religious beliefs and practices are going to hurt society. Now, my partner and I don't concede the fact that religion might cause some support, but we can see that on balance, to take all matters into consideration, society does not benefit from it because the harms outweigh the risks, and we can see that wars, censorship, and division is not going to be combated by some support. So we can see that on balance, societies do not benefit from religious belief and practice. This is why my partner and I urge a ballot not of the negation. Thank you. Good job, guys. Here, I'm gonna stop this.